cup of coffee, outline for the video so I know where exactly we're going, and let's get started. Welcome everyone to today's video. My name is Dimitar from the Dimitar Piano Duo, and in today's video, as you can see, I don't have an instrument next to me because I don't need it. I wanted to address a question that has been asked a lot, and the question is about building a practice routine. Now that's something very general and an enormous subject. And so I thought, instead of giving one practice routine that's going to help a number of people, I want to talk more about a practice approach, or the general approach to piano practice and to piano playing, because that's going to give a direction to many more people who can then start building their practice routine. It's a very complex subject because there are so many people out there, from children to adults to older people, people with children, people without children, people with jobs, without jobs. It is impossible to give one routine that's gonna fit all. So I thought that more general message would be useful for many more people that can have an idea of what to do and what steps to take in order to build their own practice system. The first and most important point, something that I'm religious about, is consistency. Without consistency, you can't progress, you can't make any progress, you can't become better. And so that's the first thing you need to make commitment to, being consistent with your practicing. Now, while to some people, what's consistency? Consistency is doing something on a regular basis for a long period of time. And while to some people consistency might mean several hours a day, to others can mean 5 minutes a day. And there are people also that can be only consistent and practice a couple of times a week, every other day. That's still consistency. All of us who are playing piano want to get better, want to improve something. And so that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video if that was not the case. You would go a long way if you dedicate yourself to being consistent, but at the same time, you need to make consistency fit your own lifestyle, your own life circumstances. I'm saying this because a lot of people feel bad. A lot of people feel bad about the time they have on their hands to practice piano. And I've seen people feel bad that they have only 1 hour a day. And I've seen people that feel bad that they have only 5 minutes a day or can practice only every other day. So to me, at the end, it seemed like, obviously it doesn't matter how much time you have, you can make yourself feel bad about it anyway. And so I wanted to say, don't feel bad about that. Please make sure that you just accept where you are, accept the time you have, and just decide to start somewhere, be it with what you might think is very few amount of time. Remember, my point here is not be consistent for 3 hours a day in order to progress. No, my point was be consistent. Be consistent with the time you have. And it doesn't matter what your time is. Now, if you're self-taught, that would mean that you're going to determine what you're going to do and how much time you're going to spend because you're self-taught. But if you have a teacher, this is something important. Make sure that you have a teacher that understands you and that's going to adjust and adapt according to your lifestyle. If you have a teacher that doesn't demand anything out of you and doesn't direct you, doesn't give you any kind of directions, that's not a good sign. If you have a teacher that demands so much out of you that he doesn't care where you are in your life, how much time you have, and keeps on demanding things that are impossible or feel impossible to you, then that's also not a good sign. You need to make sure that if you have a teacher, he understands where you are, and so he can make you feel comfortable with the time you have, because that's my point. Be consistent, but accept you where you are. Don't feel bad about it, and just go with what you have. Please don't put additional pressure on yourself. It's not going to help your progress. Let's move on to the second point that's extremely important. Separate your practicing from playing. Practicing is directing your attention deliberately on something, on a problem, on a piece that you want to get better and you want to improve, while playing is you just feel today in a certain mood, you want to play a certain piece, you want to experience the sounds, the harmonies of that piece, you go and you do that. But you need to separate both, because a lot of people would only play and never work on something, and so they're not going to experience progress. While there are other people that are going to only practice and never allow themselves to actually enjoy the music. If you're only playing, if you're only having fun and never spending some deliberate effort, you're not going to improve. And I'm going to give you an example. If I don't practice for the pieces for my concerts, I'm never going to be able to play them stable and present myself in the right way. If I don't practice passages that need additional attention, I'm not, when I have a concert and I play that particular piece, when that particular passage comes, it's going to be a lottery. It might work, it might also not work, and so that's practice. I need to direct my attention, I need to focus on something that needs to be worked on, so I ensure that I get better. And since almost every single day I feel different, if I don't have the discipline and if I didn't make the commitment to separate the playing from practicing, I would wake up and feel like, today, I really don't feel like playing Bach again. Yes, but the audience doesn't care. Really, they are going to come to the concert and they're going to expect Bach. So I have to push myself and practice Bach. The same is with you. Even if you don't give concerts, if you have pieces that you want to work on and that you play well, and if you want to improve certain skills, you need to do that. Now, there are those people that happens much more rare, that really only practice and never have fun. They sound like the ideal students, and while that's true to a certain degree, at some point they start missing on a lot of pleasure. Don't forget why you're doing that. Yes, it's wonderful that you're ambitious. Yes, it's wonderful that you are so determined to improve, but don't forget to let go sometimes and just play for the pleasure of it. Let go, see where your playing leads you, mess up even. Just see what happens. Don't forget to have fun. Now, as a professional, I was thinking to share something with you that for me, I don't personally separate playing from practicing. They're separated to the extent where I just mentioned. What is it time for today? Which piece is it time to work on? Because I have a schedule and I follow that schedule so I can cover all my program for the concerts. So that's where I separate my playing from practicing. But for me, practicing itself is a pleasure. Yes, I might need to push myself to go behind the piano because I don't feel like every time. But once I'm behind the piano, I enjoy the music in itself, in the practice form that I'm going to do it. So for me, I don't need to necessarily sit back and just play a piece in order to enjoy. For me, already that's a pleasure, hearing the music. Yeah, that's something additional that I just wanted to share with you. So for you, if that's ideal actually, if you can combine practice and playing, that you have joy out of practicing, that's wonderful. But for a lot of people, that's impossible. For a lot of people, that doesn't feel right. They really want to have the playing and the practicing. So I would say this is a very important part to building your practice routine. And so these are the 2 points that I think are extremely important when building a practice routine. Be consistent and separate your practice from playing, and do those 2 things. Commit to those 2 things for 6 months to a year. I would say a year is better than 6 months because it's a longer period of time and you're going to be able to discover many more things, because with consistency come a lot of benefits, like discovering, upgrading things, realizing things, learning more about yourself, learning more about the piano. And so I would commit for a year with this kind of approach and be very practical. What's going to happen when you're consistent, when you do these kind of things for a long period of time, is you're going to discover new things. I would immediately pick those things up that you discover and implement them into your piano practice, because then every time your practice routine is going to get upgraded, is going to feel a little bit different, a little bit fresher, a little bit newer, and with that clarity you continue further. And yeah, I think you're going to see wonderful results. But in the future we're going to make videos that are really about the practice routine in itself, what you can do there. But I think this video can give you a direction as to what to do, because for me that's very important. I mean, I started composing, and because that's something very fresh and very new, the first thing that I did when I started composing was I have to be consistent. That's it. It doesn't matter how. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything. Now I know a little bit more. But all I cared about is I have to be consistent. I think if I look back to what I just said in this video, I would say one of the most important things is, when you decide to be consistent, is to really, really accept the time you have and not judge. I would emphasize on this point, because nothing else is as important as not judging yourself and feeling okay with the time you have. 5 minutes a day is better than 1 hour in a struggle, in stress, in feeling like you barely can manage and then giving up after a week. 5 minutes a day for a year is way better than what I just said. So if I have to emphasize one thing, that would be it. I hope I didn't forget to mention anything I wanted to mention, but anyway, we're going to make more videos. Like the video, even if you didn't like it, subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for being here and watching this video. For me, recording it for you, as always, was a great pleasure. And how do you say that? And I will see you, or we will see you next week again.